Elie Cantin-Nantel here for True North at the Hôtel V in Gatineau, where Quebec Conservative Party leader Eric Duhaime is announcing his latest candidate for the upcoming provincial election. The PCQ is an anomaly in Canadian politics because the once very small party that only received 1.46% of the vote in the last provincial election has placed second in some polls, with one poll giving the party 24% support. I had the opportunity to catch up with Duhaime to ask him a couple of questions, including how his election readiness is coming along, what he thinks of the legacy media's coverage of him and his party, as well as what are his expectations going into the campaign period. How many candidates does your party have now for the election, and are you satisfied with the team that you've built?
Absolutely. We are now at 108 candidates out of 125. We'll have another 10 candidates to announce within the next few hours. We're revealing our platform on Sunday, so we're kind of in a sprint right now. There's so many things to do, and the election is now, 55 days ahead of us, so it's going to be a great sprint, and we're looking forward to it.
Obviously, with the election comes media coverage. The CBC ran a piece where it claimed that 30% of your candidates were linked to conspiracy theories and what they call right-wing extremists. What do you make of the legacy media putting reports out there suggesting that your candidates are conspiracy theorists and have links to extremism?
It's always surprising that because someone shared a link or liked a page or made a comment somewhere, they're automatically labeled. It's weird that they're not concerned about the fact that a cabinet minister of Legault's government has been accused 3 times by the ethics commissioner for patronage or conflict of interest, and that doesn't make the big news, but they're trying to find out someone who have shared something on the link. And you have to understand that over the last 2 years, being a conspiracy theorist is just that you were against the government on any issues, and you were not like all the members of the National Assembly of the 4 other parties who were all saying yes, 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 Mr. Legault. As soon as you were asking questions, they were saying that you were a conspiracy theorist. So I think that we have to calm down. Those accusations are completely false, and it's a disgrace that some reporters are paying too much attention to that.
Right. François Legault's CAQ has been running an ad on TV which features an old woman saying that no one could have handled the pandemic better than him. Considering that Legault's pandemic response included some of the harshest lockdowns in all of Canada, a vaccine passport that restricted access to church and to groceries in Walmart and Costco, and that also put in a curfew twice, even when around 90% of the population was vaccinated. What do you make of the fact he seems to be proud of his response and campaigning on that response?
It's very surprising. First off, he underpaid that poor old woman who he gave her a check of $200 while it worth like $10,000 or $20,000 according to the estimates done by the unions of actors. The other thing that is surprising with those ads is that when they say no one would have done better, well, my answer to that is who would have done worst, because we were the province where we've been the most locked down. The curfews, the restaurants were shut down for the longest period of time. The only place where the construction industry was shut down, and we can go on and on and on and on. Quebec went the furthest of all the provinces in Canada, and we have by far to this day the worst record in terms of death of COVID. So if the measures were so good and he's done everything so perfectly, how come we're the worst in the country and one of the worst in the continent? I'm wondering why. How could they say such a thing? I mean, it's a disgrace that they're trying to say that no one would have done better. It's actually the opposite. No one would have probably done worst.
Right. So the Conservative Party in 2018 got 1.46% of the vote, no seats. Now some polls have put you in second place, and the Main Street poll had you at 24%, almost a quarter of support, which is extraordinary. So going into this campaign, what would you consider a victory? Would it be 1 seat, 10 seats, opposition, or forming government?
Well, honestly, if you asked me the question a year ago, I would have said to get elected personally and have a few percent more. But nowadays, as you said, it's changing very quickly. The party went from 500 members to 60,000 members, from 1% in the polls to 15, 19, or 24%, depending of which polling firm you believe in. We're also the party that is raising we have the biggest amount of donors right now in Quebec this year, and and the growth keeps going. We've been invited to the leaders debate that are going to be held during the election campaign. So I mean, we've already did much better than what we were expecting. We were going to have 125 candidates out of 125 seats. So I think we already have a huge success. In terms of votes, well, it's the privilege of every single Quebec voter to do that. And no matter how many there's going to be, it's going to be a victory, because if the Conservative Party of Quebec wasn't there, the four other parties are so similar that many of us would have stayed home. And what's the Conservative Party contribution going to be is that we're going to increase the participation rate, which is great not just for the Conservatives but for democracy in Quebec.
Right, and one last question. One of the reasons attributed for your growth has been your strong opposition to the COVID measures. You're one of the only political leaders in all Canada that has stood up against the lockdowns and the mandates when it wasn't popular to do so. Moving forward, 4 years from now, hopefully when there's no more COVID and it's no longer a prominent issue, how does your party stay relevant and not become irrelevant like maybe the Parti Québécois has over the years?
Well, we're a conservative party, and that means also that we want lower taxes. We're the only ones who are going to propose decreasing taxes for all Quebecers during the election campaign. We want to suspend tax on gas with what's going on with the inflation right now. We're the only ones also who are ready to open up the door to the private sector in healthcare. We're also the only ones in Quebec right now that it's time to exploit our gas and oil in Quebec. And I can keep going on and on and on. We're the only ones who are saying that we should fund all parents who need a kindergarten for their kids, not just the public monopoly. And so there's a lot of things where we're completely different, and we're going to show that, and we're going to have the opportunity to talk about it when we reveal our platform on Sunday and during the whole election campaign.
True North will continue to bring you independent coverage of the Quebec provincial election. To support our work, please visit donate.tnc.news to make a donation. For True North, I'm Elie Cantin-Nantel.